Have you ever had that feeling that something bad is going to happen? No evidence, no actual crisis. No one called, no email came in, but your brain is standing there with a clipboard like, I don't know, this feels suspicious. That was something I used to deal with a lot, even when things were going well. Sometimes, especially when things were going well, I could have good things happening in my life. Business could be okay, relationships could be okay. My day could be completely normal, and my brain would still be like, enjoy this while it lasts, champ. It felt like bad news had to be right around the corner, like life could not just be good. Something had to turn, and sometimes I would wake up already feeling that way. Before anything happened, before I checked my phone, before the day even had a chance to offend me, which is impressive, honestly. My anxiety was already reviewing disaster footage from a day that had not started yet. And if you know that feeling, it can be exhausting because you are not just dealing with what is happening, you are dealing with what your brain says might happen. The bad news, the phone call, the mistake, the thing falling apart, the imaginary disaster that your brain has apparently scheduled for later. And that is why this feeling can be so convincing. It does not always show up as a clear thought. Sometimes it's just heaviness, a sense of dread, a weird tension in your body. Like your nervous system is warning you about something, but it forgot to include the details. Very helpful. 5-star alarm system, 0-star communication. So if you've been wondering, why do I feel like something bad is going to happen? You're not crazy, and you are not broken. Your anxiety may be treating uncertainty like danger, and your brain may be trying to protect you by preparing you for the worst. In this video, I'm going to break down why anxiety does this, why good moments can sometimes feel unsafe, and what to do when that bad news is coming feeling shows up. Because you do not have to keep living like peace is just the warning before the next problem. Here is the part most people miss. Anxiety is not always reacting to what is happening. Sometimes it is reacting to what it thinks can happen, which would be useful if your brain was always accurate. Unfortunately, anxiety is not exactly known for its balanced reporting. Anxiety is basically a prediction machine. It scans ahead, it looks for risk, it tries to figure out where pain, embarrassment, rejection, failure, or loss might come from. And once it finds even a possible threat, it starts sounding the alarm. Not because something's definitely wrong, but because something could be wrong. And anxiety loves the word could. Could go badly, could fall apart, could be bad news, could be the beginning of a problem you're not ready for. And that is where the trap starts. Your brain mistakes possibility for probability. Just because something could happen, your anxiety starts acting like it probably will. And once your body gets involved, it feels even more convincing. Your chest gets tight, your stomach drops, you feel restless, you feel on edge. And then your brain says, see, I told you something was wrong, which is a little unfair because your brain caused the alarm, then use the alarm as proof. That is why this feeling can become such a loop. You feel dread and then you search for a reason. Then the searching makes you more anxious. Then the anxiety makes the dread feel more real. And now you're trying to solve a problem you've not even identified, which is exhausting. It's like being handed an emergency alert with no location, no details, and no actual emergency. But here's what you have to understand. The feeling is real. The prediction is not automatically true. The dread in your body does not mean that bad news is coming. It may mean your nervous system is trying to prepare you for something uncertain. And uncertainty is one of anxiety's favorite things to turn into danger. Because apparently not knowing something is the same as being under attack. That is why you can feel anxious on a normal day. Nothing has happened and there's still uncertainty. And anxiety says, well, if we don't know what is coming, let's assume it's terrible. That is not wisdom. That is protection turned up too high. And when protection gets turned up too high, it stops helping you prepare. It just keeps you on alert. So when that bad news is coming feeling shows up, the first shift is this. Do not immediately ask what is wrong. Ask, what is my anxiety predicting? Because those are not the same question. One is investigation. The other is letting anxiety host a true crime documentary inside of your head. And that brings us to the next point. Why does anxiety sometimes get louder when life is actually going well? Now let's talk about the part that really feels unfair. Sometimes this feeling gets louder when things are actually going well. Not when everything's falling apart, but when life is calm. When something good happens. When you finally get a little room to breathe. And your brain says, absolutely not. This feels like a setup. That is one of the strangest things about anxiety. It does not only show up when life is hard. It can show up when life gets quiet enough for you to notice how unsafe you still feel inside. And that is a different problem. Because if your nervous system has waited a long time for the other shoe to drop, peace can start to feel suspicious. Calm can feel unfamiliar. Good news can feel temporary. And instead of enjoying the moment, your brain starts scanning for the catch. Because apparently happiness needs a background check. I remember that feeling. It was not always some big panic moment. Sometimes it was just this quiet sense that things were going too well. Like if life felt too good, part of me did not fully trust it. And that is a miserable way to live. Because even when things are good, you're not fully there. You are already mentally preparing for the moment it gets taken away. Very relaxing. Nothing says inner peace like rehearsing future disappointment. But that is exactly what anxiety does. It tries to protect you from being blindsided. So it starts making you suspicious of anything that feels too good, too calm, or too stable. And the hidden belief underneath that is usually this. If I prepare for the bad thing, it will hurt less when it happens. If I expect disappointment, I won't be caught off guard. If I can stay on alert, maybe I can stop it before it hits me. And I get why that feels logical. But it comes at a brutal cost. You do not actually prevent pain. You just practice it early. You suffer before there's even anything to suffer about. Anxiety loves pre-ordering misery. And this is why the bad news is coming feeling can steal so much from you. It does not just steal peace during a crisis. It steals peace before anything has even happened. It makes you treat calm like a warning. It makes you treat good moments like they're fragile. And it makes you believe you have to stay tense just to stay safe. But tension is not the same thing as control. Staying anxious does not prove you are prepared. It just may mean your brain has forgotten how to let a good moment be good without attaching a disaster trailer to it. So the goal is not to force yourself to feel perfectly calm. That usually does not work anyway. The goal is to stop treating peace like it is suspicious. And to stop treating the feeling of dread like it has already proven something. Which brings us to what you actually do when that feeling shows up. So what do you actually do when that feeling shows up? When your brain says something bad is coming. When your body is already tense. When your mind starts searching for the problem. Like anxiety handed you a mystery and said, good luck, detective. The first thing is this. Name the alarm. Do not argue with it. Do not panic because it is there, and do not immediately obey it. Just name it. This is anxiety. This is my nervous system sounding the alarm. This is my brain predicting danger, not proving danger. The last part matters because anxiety loves acting like it brought receipts. But a feeling is not a receipt. A feeling is information. It is not automatically evidence. So instead of saying something must be wrong, say my anxiety is predicting something may be wrong. This creates just enough space for you to be able to think again. And that space matters. Because when anxiety hits, it wants urgency. It wants you checking, replaying, scrolling, asking for reassurance, trying to solve the whole imaginary disaster before lunch. Very productive use of a Tuesday. But urgency is usually where anxiety gets control. So the second thing is this. Check what is actually true right now. Not what could be true, not what might happen, not what your brain is dramatically previewing, what is actually true right now. Did something happen? Did someone tell you bad news? Is there a real problem in front of you? Or is your body reacting to a prediction? That question can pull you out of a fog because anxiety wants everything to feel urgent and vague. but clarity takes away some of its power. Anxiety does not love specifics. It prefers a blurry horror movie. So get specific. What do I actually know? What am I predicting? What evidence do I have? What is the next grounded action? And sometimes the next grounded action is very small. Answer the email in front of you. Make the call you actually need to make. Go for a walk. Take care of the thing that is real, not the 10 things your anxiety invented, because that list is unlimited. Anxiety has a very generous imagination. The third thing is to stop trying to earn permission to relax. This is a big one because anxiety will tell you, once we know everything is okay, then we can calm down. Once we check one more thing, once we think through one more scenario, once we prepare for every possible outcome, which sounds responsible, but it is usually just anxiety wearing a blazer. You will never think through every possible outcome. You will never get perfect certainty. And if peace requires certainty, you will almost never feel peaceful. That is the trap. So instead of waiting for your brain to give you permission to calm down, you practice coming back to the day in front of you, even while anxiety is still making noise. You do not have to feel perfectly calm to stop obeying the alarm. You do not have to solve an imaginary disaster before you're allowed to live your actual life. And that is the skill. Not pretending the feeling's not there, not shaming yourself for having it, but also not letting it run your entire day. You can feel the dread, name it. Check the facts and come back to what is real, which sounds simple, but simple does not mean easy. Because if your brain has spent years treating uncertainty like danger, it is going to take practice to teach it that uncertainty is uncomfortable, but it is not always unsafe. And that is where the real work begins. So if you have that feeling that something bad is going to happen and nothing has actually happened yet, I want you to remember this. Your anxiety may be sounding an alarm, but that does not mean there is a fire. Anxiety is very committed to the performance. Lights, sirens, full production, but volume is not proof. Just because the feeling is loud does not mean the prediction is true. And that is where you have to start taking your power back. Name the alarm, check what is actually true, come back to the real moment in front of you. Because you do not have to solve bad news that has not happened. You do not have to rehearse losing peace before peace is even gone. And you do not have to treat every calm moment like it is the setup before the next problem. This is the part anxiety does not want you to see. It is not just stealing from you during crisis. It is stealing from you before anything even happens. It steals the good day by making you prepare for the bad one. It steals calm by making peace feel suspicious. It steals the present by dragging you into the future your brain invented. And somehow you're supposed to be productive after that. Good luck. My name is Vinnie Merz, and I am a high-performance anxiety coach. I help ambitious professionals stop anxiety from sabotaging their success, their confidence, and their peace of mind. And if you cannot enjoy the good moments because your brain is always waiting for bad news, that is not just a random quirk. It's a pattern. And if you do not deal with it, it will keep training you to live on alert, even when nothing is actually wrong. If this is a pattern you keep repeating, this is exactly the kind of thing we can work through in coaching. Because the work is not just trying to calm down for 5 minutes. It is understanding why your brain keeps treating uncertainty like danger, what it thinks it's protecting you from, and how to build enough trust in yourself that you stop living on alert when nothing is actually wrong. If you want help with that, you can schedule a free 30-minute strategy session with me. The link is in the description. We will look at what's driving the pattern, what keeps repeating, and whether coaching is the right fit. Because bad news does not get to live in your head before it even exists.